I am from Texas Company Church, Northside Assembly, and I will be doing the Bible story, Samson. The story of Samson begins when the Israelites were in trouble with God again. Even after God saved them from the Egyptians, helped them through the Red Sea, and amazingly sent manna from the sky to feed them, they still complained. Even when Moses was going to get the Ten Commandments for them, they started worshiping other gods. So, to punish them, he put the Philistines in charge for 40 years. One day, there lived a man called Noah, and he had a wife who couldn't have children. Soon, an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and said to her, "You cannot have any children now, but God is soon going to give you a special son. Make sure you do not drink any wine. Be sure he does not cut his hair, eat grapes or raisins, drink wine, or touch a dead body. And most importantly, the purpose is to serve God and free the Israelites from the Philistines." And soon she gave birth to a baby boy named Samson. As Samson got older, he was able to kill a lion with his bare hands and defend himself against 1,000 Philistines. When he became a young man, he liked a lot of girls, but he especially liked this one girl named Delilah, a Philistine girl. The rulers of Philistine noticed that he was coming to see her a lot often, so they decided to make a deal with her to find out Samson's secret of his strength. One day, while walking home, one of the men came up to her and said, "Delilah, we are so curious about finding out Samson's strength, and we are willing to give you 1,100 pieces of silver from each of the rulers of Philistine." She was about to say no, but overcoming the temptation of money was hard for her, and she agreed to the deal. Afterwards, she went to Samson and said, "Tell me how you can be weakened and how your strength can go away." He replied, "If you tie me 7 fresh dogs that have never been dropped, I will become weak." Later that night, she did as he instructed and called the soldiers of the Philistines to come and attack him and take him away. When they came, she yelled, "Samson, get up! Philistine men are here to attack you!" But he snapped the ropes like spaghetti and threw the men out the door. The next night, she told Samson to give her the real truth about his strength. He lied again and replied, "If you tie me with ropes that have never been used, I will become weak." That night, she did as he instructed and called them to come again once more and take me away. When they came, she said, "Samson, get up. Philistine men are here to attack you once more." But unfortunately for Delilah, he snapped the ropes easily and threw the men out the door once more. The next night, Delilah begged Samson to tell her the truth, and he came up with a bigger lie this time. "If you take the 7 braids of my hair and put it on the loom and weave it into fabric and tighten it with a pin, I will become weak." That night, she did as he instructed, called the men, and once they came, she yelled once more, "Delilah, Samson, get up! Philistine men are here to attack you again." But he pulled the loom and pin out of his hair and threw the men out the door once more. The next night, Delilah was angry and mad and wanted to know the real truth. She nagged and begged Samson for days, saying, "You say you love me, but you won't tell me, as if you couldn't tell me." With all this nagging, he couldn't take it no more. And then one day he said, "No razor has ever touched my head, because I have been set aside for God from birth." Realizing that he had told the truth, she went back to the Philistine woods and said, "Come once more. He has finally told me the truth of how he can be weakened." That night, he shaved his whole head clear off and called the soldiers to come again. Once they came, she yelled, "Samson, get up! Philistine men are here to attack you again." not knowing that his head had been shaved. He went out to meet them again, but they were able to tie him up, pull his eyes so he couldn't see, and throw him into the dungeon. The Philistine men were happy and prayed to the Lord Dagon for allowing them to capture Samson. Then they called the dungeon keeper to come and place Samson in between two large pillars that held up the building so they could be amused by him. Once done, he said, "Lord, remember me once more, and let me push over these pillars so it can topple over these men who worship other gods." God heard his prayer and granted his last wish. With one mighty push, he toppled both of the pillars over and came down, crushing him and the Philistines. Since then, it was recorded in the famous book that I like to call the Bible, stating that about the famous, strongest,